dropping, and no diet seems to work anymore. What if the real problem isn't your willpower, your calories, or your workouts, but a silent condition inside your body that most people don't even know they have? That condition is called insulin resistance, and it may be the real reason you're gaining weight. Insulin resistance doesn't announce itself loudly. It doesn't cause sudden pain or dramatic symptoms. Instead, it slowly rewires how your body handles food, energy, and fat storage. To understand why it leads to weight gain, we first need to understand what insulin actually does in the body. Every time you eat carbohydrates, whether it's sugar, bread, rice, fruit, or even healthy foods, your blood sugar rises. In response, your pancreas releases a hormone called insulin. Insulin's job is simple and essential. It acts like a key that unlocks your cells so glucose can move from the blood into the cells, where it's used for energy. In a healthy body, this system works smoothly. You eat, insulin rises, glucose enters the cells, energy is produced, and blood sugar comes back down. But when insulin resistance develops, those locks on your cells stop responding properly to insulin. The key is there, but the door doesn't open easily, so glucose stays in the bloodstream instead of entering the cells. Your body senses that blood sugar is still high, so it releases even more insulin to force the glucose inside. This is where the real trouble begins. High insulin levels don't just affect blood sugar, they directly affect fat storage. Insulin is a powerful fat-storing hormone. When insulin is high, your body is in storage mode, not fat-burning mode. Even if you're eating fewer calories, even if you're exercising, high insulin makes it extremely difficult for your body to access stored fat. Instead of burning fat for fuel, your body keeps storing more of it, especially around the abdomen. This is why many people with insulin resistance gain weight even without overeating. It's also why belly fat becomes so stubborn. Abdominal fat cells are especially sensitive to insulin. The more insulin your body produces, the more those fat cells grow. Over time, this creates a vicious cycle. More fat leads to more insulin resistance, and more insulin resistance leads to more fat gain. But here's the important part. The hopeful part: insulin resistance is not permanent, it is reversible. The body is incredibly adaptable when you address the root causes instead of just the symptoms. Understanding what insulin resistance is gives you back control. It explains why weight gain feels unfair, why hunger feels uncontrollable, and why fatigue doesn't match your effort. In the next part, we'll dive deeper into the hidden signs you might be missing, how insulin resistance affects hormones beyond insulin, and why some healthy habits may actually be slowing your progress without you realizing it. Imagine eating less, moving more, cutting sugar, trying every diet you see online. Yet the scale refuses to move. Your belly keeps growing, your energy keeps dropping, and you start wondering if something is wrong with you. But what if the real problem isn't your discipline, your calories, or your workouts? What if the real reason you're regaining weight is a silent condition most people have without even knowing it? That condition is called insulin resistance, and it quietly changes how your body stores fat, uses energy, and controls hunger. To understand why insulin resistance causes weight gain, we first need to understand what insulin actually does in your body in the simplest way possible. Every time you eat specialty foods with carbohydrates like rice, bread, sugar, fruit, or even healthy grains, your blood sugar rises. This rise in blood sugar is normal. In response, your pancreas releases a hormone called insulin. Insulin's job is to act like a key. It unlocks your cells so sugar can move from your blood into your muscles, liver, and other tissues where it's used for energy. In a healthy body, this system works smoothly. You eat. Insulin rises a little, glucose enters the cells, energy is produced, and blood sugar comes back down. You feel satisfied, energized, and stable. But insulin resistance changes this entire process. When insulin resistance develops, your cells stop responding properly to insulin. The key is still there, but the lock is rusty. Glucose can't easily enter the cells, so it stays in the bloodstream. Your body senses that blood sugar is still high and reacts by releasing even more insulin to force the sugar into the cells. Now, here's the critical point most people don't know. Insulin is not just a blood sugar hormone, it is one of the strongest fat storage hormones in the human body. When insulin is high, your body is in storage mode, not fat-burning mode. Even if you're eating fewer calories, even if you're exercising regularly, high insulin blocks fat burning and pushes your body to store more fat. This is why insulin resistance makes weight loss feel impossible. Your body is constantly being told, store energy, save fat, don't burn it. Over time, this leads to steady weight gain, especially around the belly. Belly fat is not just extra weight, it's hormonally active fat that makes insulin resistance even worse. The more belly fat you gain, the more insulin resistant you become. And the more insulin resistant you become, the more belly fat you gain. It's a vicious cycle. One of the earliest signs of insulin resistance is unexplained fatigue. People often say, I eat, but I still feel tired. That's because even though there is plenty of sugar in the blood, it's not reaching the cells efficiently. Your cells are essentially starving in the middle of abundance. The result is low energy, brain fog, poor focus, and a constant feeling of exhaustion. Another major sign is intense cravings, especially for sugar and refined carbohydrates. This isn't a lack of willpower. When your cells don't get enough energy, your brain sends powerful signals to eat more fast energy, quick carbs, sweet foods. These foods temporarily raise blood sugar, but they also spike insulin even higher, making insulin resistance worse in the long run. You may also notice that you feel hungry again very soon after eating. You eat a full meal, but an hour or two later, you're looking for snacks. High insulin causes blood sugar to rise quickly and then crash just as fast. That crash triggers hunger, irritability, and overeating. This cycle repeats day after day, quietly driving weight gain. Insulin resistance doesn't happen overnight. It develops slowly, often over years. Frequent snacking, sugary drinks, refined carbs, ultra-processed foods, poor sleep, chronic stress, and lack of muscle activity all contribute to it. Your pancreas keeps producing more and more insulin to keep blood sugar under control, until one day the system starts breaking down. What makes this even more frustrating is that many people with insulin resistance are told their blood sugar is normal. That's because insulin resistance often exists long before diabetes shows up on lab reports. Insulin levels can be high for years while blood sugar still looks okay. During this time, weight gain, fatigue, and cravings are already doing damage. And here's the most important thing to understand: this is not your fault. You're not lazy, you're not weak. Your body is responding to hormonal signals, not a lack of motivation. Once you understand insulin resistance, your struggles finally make sense. In the next part, we'll talk about the hidden signs of insulin resistance most people miss, how it affects other hormones like cortisol and hunger hormones, and why some healthy habits may actually be making the problem worse. One of the most confusing things about insulin resistance is that it rarely shows up in obvious ways. Most people don't wake up one day and suddenly feel metabolically unhealthy. Instead, the signs are subtle, easy to ignore, and often blamed on aging, stress, or a busy lifestyle. But when you start connecting the dots, a very clear pattern begins to appear. One hidden sign is stubborn weight gain that doesn't match how much you eat. You may notice that even small portions cause weight gain, or that dieting works for a short time and then completely stops. This happens because insulin resistance lowers your metabolic flexibility, your body's ability to switch between burning sugar and burning fat. Instead of smoothly using stored fat for energy, your body becomes dependent on constant incoming food, especially carbohydrates. Another overlooked sign is feeling mentally foggy or unfocused, especially after meals. When insulin is high and blood sugar is unstable, the brain struggles to get a steady supply of fuel. This leads to poor concentration, forgetfulness, and that heavy, sleepy feeling after eating. Over time, many people begin relying on caffeine just to feel normal. Skin changes can also be a clue. Dark patches of skin around the neck, underarms, or knuckles, known as acanthosis nigricans, a classic sign of high insulin levels. Skin tags, increased acne, and oily skin are also commonly linked to insulin resistance because insulin affects growth signals in the skin. Hormonal imbalance is another major consequence. Insulin doesn't work alone, it interacts with almost every hormone in your body. In women, high insulin can stimulate excess androgen production, contributing to conditions like PCOS, irregular periods, acne, and unwanted hair growth. In both men and women, insulin resistance can disrupt leptin, the hormone that tells you when you're full. When leptin signaling breaks down, you keep eating even when your body has enough energy stored. Stress makes this entire situation worse. Chronic stress raises cortisol, another hormone that increases blood sugar. When cortisol stays high, insulin has to rise to keep blood sugar under control. This creates a double hormonal hit. Cortisol pushes sugar into the blood, and insulin pushes that sugar into fat storage. This is why stress-related belly fat is so common and so difficult to lose. Now here's something most people don't expect. Many healthy habits can actually worsen insulin resistance if done incorrectly. Constant grazing throughout the day keeps insulin elevated from morning to night, never allowing it to come down. Skipping protein at meals leads to rapid blood sugar spikes and crashes. Overdoing long cardio sessions while under-eating increases stress hormones, which then worsen insulin resistance. Even extreme calorie restriction can backfire. When you eat too little for too long, your body perceives starvation. It responds by slowing metabolism, increasing cortisol, and holding onto fat even more aggressively. This is why crash diets often lead to rapid weight regain and sometimes even more weight than before. Sleep is another powerful but underestimated factor. Poor sleep directly increases insulin resistance, even in healthy individuals. Just a few nights of short or poor quality sleep can make your cells less responsive to insulin the very next day. This leads to higher hunger, stronger cravings, and worse blood sugar control. At this point, it should be clear that insulin resistance is not just about food, it's about the entire lifestyle environment your body is responding to. The good news is that because insulin resistance is driven by daily signals, it can be improved by changing those signals. In the next part, we'll talk about how insulin resistance can be reversed naturally, what actually lowers insulin levels, and how to work with your hormones instead of fighting them. The most empowering thing about insulin resistance is that it is not permanent. Your body is not broken. It is responding exactly as it was designed to respond to repeated signals. When those signals change, your metabolism can change with them. Reversing insulin resistance is not about extreme dieting or punishment. It's about restoring balance and giving your body the right instructions again. The first and most important step is reducing how often insulin spikes throughout the day. This doesn't mean cutting out all carbohydrates or starving yourself. It means creating space between meals so insulin has time to come down. When insulin stays high all day from constant snacking, your body never gets the chance to burn stored fat. Structured meals with fewer snacks allow insulin levels to fall, which opens the door to fat burning. What you eat also matters, but not in the way most diets suggest. Prioritizing protein at every meal is one of the fastest ways to improve insulin sensitivity. Protein slows digestion, stabilizes blood sugar, reduces cravings, and supports muscle, which is one of the biggest insulin-sensitive tissues in the body. When you build muscle, you create more storage space for glucose, reducing how much insulin your body needs to release. Strength training plays a powerful role here. Muscles act like a sponge for glucose, pulling sugar out of the blood without needing large amounts of insulin. Even 2 to 3 sessions of resistance training per week can dramatically improve insulin sensitivity over time. This is why people who lift weights often see fat loss even without extreme calorie restriction. Managing stress is just as important as managing food. High cortisol keeps blood sugar elevated, forcing insulin to stay high as well. Simple practices like walking, deep breathing, sunlight exposure, and proper rest send safety signals to your nervous system. When your body feels safe, it becomes more willing to let go of stored fat. Sleep is another non-negotiable factor. Deep, consistent sleep improves insulin sensitivity almost automatically. When sleep improves, hunger hormones normalize, cravings decrease, and energy levels rise. Many people notice weight loss starting again simply by fixing sleep before changing anything else. Movement throughout the day also matters. You don't need intense workouts every day. Gentle activity like walking after meals helps muscles absorb glucose more efficiently, lowering insulin spikes. These small habits, repeated daily, add up to powerful metabolic changes. Perhaps the most important shift is changing your mindset. Insulin resistance is not a personal failure, it's a biological response. When you stop fighting your body and start supporting it, progress becomes easier and more sustainable. Weight loss stops feeling like a battle and starts feeling like a natural side effect of better metabolic health. As insulin sensitivity improves, many people notice something surprising. Hunger becomes calmer. Cravings lose their intensity. Energy feels steady instead of crashing, and weight begins to come off without constant effort. This is what happens when your hormones start working with you instead of against you. Insulin resistance may be the silent reason you've been gaining weight, but it can also be the key to understanding your body, reclaiming your energy, and finally seeing results that last. If you've been struggling with weight gain, low energy, and constant cravings, insulin resistance explains what never made sense before. It shows that your body wasn't working against you, it was trying to protect you based on the signals it was receiving every day. High insulin kept your body locked in storage mode, blocking fat burning and draining your energy, no matter how hard you tried. The real breakthrough comes when you stop chasing quick fixes and start restoring insulin sensitivity. You don't need extreme diets, endless cardio, or self-punishment. You need fewer insulin spikes, balanced meals with enough protein, regular muscle-building movement, better sleep, and lower stress. These changes may sound simple, but together they send powerful signals that tell your body it's safe to burn fat again. As insulin levels come down, your body slowly regains its natural rhythm. Hunger becomes manageable. Cravings quiet down, energy stabilizes, and weight loss no longer feels like a daily struggle. It becomes a side effect of better health. This is how sustainable fat loss actually happens, not through force, but through balance. Insulin resistance is silent, but its impact is loud. Once you understand it, you regain control not by fighting your body, but by working with it. And when your hormones are finally on your side, progress becomes possible again, naturally and long term.